Are you looking for the best monitors for PS5? In this video, we will look at some of the 5 best monitors on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Gigabyte M27Q. The Gigabyte M27Q is a good alternative to the LG 27GP850B/27GP83BB if you're on a tighter budget. It also has a 1440p resolution, but the main difference is that it's a step down in gaming performance. The biggest trade-off is the slower response time at high refresh rates, and while you'll see more motion blur than on the LG, the overall motion handling is still great. Besides that, it works as expected with the PS5 as it supports 1080p and 1440p games up to 120Hz and 4K games up to 60Hz. However, without HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, you can't play 4K at 120Hz games on it, and VRR doesn't work either. Despite its low cost, it offers a few extra features to improve your gaming experience. It has different crosshairs available that you can use to give you a competitive advantage in FPS games, and it also has a black equalizer mode that makes it easier to see your opponents in dark areas. It even has a backlight strobing feature to improve the appearance of motion, but you can only use it for 120Hz games on the PS5, not 60Hz. At number 2. LG 27GP850B/27GP83BB. If you still find the Gigabyte M27U too expensive and want to save even more, the LG 27GP850B is a good choice in the lower mid-range price category. You can also find it as the 27GP83BB at different retailers, and both variants perform the same with the PS5. As you go down in price, you also lose out on features that higher-end monitors have, and in this case, the LG has a lower 1440p resolution, so images aren't as detailed. Luckily, it downscales 4K images from the PS5, resulting in a more detailed image than a native 1440p signal. It does support 4K at 60Hz, or 1080p and 1440p up to 120Hz, but it doesn't support 4K at 120Hz, which is a trade-off of getting something cheaper, as HDMI 2.1 monitors usually cost more. Unfortunately, it doesn't support HDMI 4M VRR, the VRR format that the PS5 uses. You might see screen tearing in some games where the frame rate changes a lot, but most 1440p monitors don't support HDMI 4M VRR anyways. You still get excellent gaming performance as motion looks incredibly smooth at any refresh rate. At number 3. Gigabyte M27U. If you want a mid-range monitor for cheaper, consider the Gigabyte M27U. It doesn't have the same proprietary features as the Sony Endzone M9, like auto HDR tone mapping, and it has a worse edgelit local dimming feature, but this is normal as you'll need to make sacrifices if you want something cheaper. Still, it's excellent for gaming thanks to its fast response time, making your favorite games look crystal clear with very little blur behind fast-moving objects. It's fully compatible with everything the PS5 offers, supporting 4K at 120Hz gaming thanks to its HDMI 2.1 bandwidth. While it supports less HDMI bandwidth than the Sony as it's limited to 24 gigabits per second as opposed to 40 gigabits per second, this doesn't make a difference for gaming with the PS5 as it only has a minor impact on text clarity. On the plus side, it supports VRR, but there are some flicker issues with HDR and VRR on simultaneously with 60Hz signals. If you think this would bother you, consider the larger Gigabyte M32U, as it performs similarly but doesn't have the same issue. However, it costs more for a larger screen, so the M27U offers the best value. At number 4. Sony Endzone M9. If you want to save some money and still want a high-end option, check out the Sony Endzone M9. You don't get the same remarkable picture quality as the Samsung Odyssey Neo G8S32BG85 because it doesn't have mini LED backlighting. This means it doesn't display the same deep blacks and bright highlights, but the local dimming feature is still okay and helps improve the contrast ratio. Regardless, this monitor is great for the PS5 because it's a Sony product with a few features that only the PS5 can use, like auto HDR tone mapping, which optimizes the HDR performance and settings based on the game. Its design even shares similarities with the PS5, meaning it'll look great on your desk next to the console. For gaming performance, it has a great response time with both 120Hz and 60Hz signals, resulting in smooth motion. As expected, it works without issue with the PS5 as it has two ports with HDMI 2.1 bandwidth for high refresh rate gaming with the console, and its VRR support works well to help reduce screen tearing. At number 5. Samsung Odyssey Neo G8S32BG85. The Samsung Odyssey Neo G8S32BG85 is the best monitor for PS5 that we've tested. It's a fantastic gaming monitor with a 4K resolution that helps deliver sharp images, making it the best 4K monitor for PS5. While the console can't take full advantage of the monitor's high 240Hz refresh rate, you can still play 4K games up to 120Hz without issue, thanks to its HDMI 2.1 bandwidth. Its 240Hz refresh rate is also great if you plan to connect a gaming PC alongside the console. However, if that isn't important to you, the Samsung Odyssey Neo G7S32BG75 is nearly the same monitor with a 165Hz refresh rate and tends to cost less. When gaming at 120Hz, the Neo G8 delivers a fantastic gaming experience, with almost no noticeable blur behind fast-moving objects. Its VRR support also works with the PS5 to reduce screen tearing. If you care about picture quality, you'll be happy to know that it displays deep blacks, and the mini LED local dimming feature helps further improve the contrast in dark scenes. It also gets bright enough in HDR to make larger highlights pop for a great HDR gaming experience.